inflows through the International Money Transfer Operators (IMTOs) surged by 39% in first quarter of 2024. Naira posted best daily gains since March amid increased foreign exchange inflows and anticipated interest rate hike. World Trade Organization (WTO) members support African Group's proposal for Konjo-Iweala's second-term bid. Plus, oil prices fall on predictions of swelling crude inventories and weak demand. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Nneka, your guide. The Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has reported a 39% increase in inflows through International Money Transfers Operators (IMTOs) for the first quarter of 2024 compared to the same period in 2023. This is according to data from the quarterly statistical bulletin of the CBN for the first quarter of 2024. Recent reforms implemented by the CBN aimed at attracting more dollar supply through IMTOs seem to have triggered the increase. Analysts say this situation is easing the foreign exchange liquidity challenges for Africa's most populous nation, as dollar inflows from abroad, which can be seen as major diaspora remittances, are a major source of foreign exchange. The Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise has asked the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) to put a brake on interest rate hike as the Apex Bank's Monetary Policy Committee meeting starts today. Dr. Muda Yusuf, Chief Executive Officer of the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, emphasized the importance of this approach. Yusuf highlighted that the committee should aim to keep the increase minimal, acknowledging the Central Bank of Nigeria's effort to stabilize the economy. The Naira posted impressive gains against the dollar amid increased inflows from the CBN, recording its best gains since March. The Apex Bank is also poised to raise headline interest rates one last time to support the Naira and throttle inflation, which is near a three-decade high, before ending its aggressive tightening campaign. Data from FMDQ Exchange revealed the Naira gained nearly $100 Naira per dollar as the local currency exchanged hands for 1,500 Naira 32 kobo on Monday, representing a whopping 640 basis point increase, higher than the 1,596 Naira 92 kobo per dollar quoted last Friday. How much is the Naira exchanging for other currencies? Let's see. prices steady with U.S. economic data in focus. Let's now see how other commodities are trading around the globe. Oil prices slipped for a third trading session on Tuesday as investors focused on the prospect of swelling oil supplies and weak demand, while showing little reaction to U.S. presidential campaign upheaval. Brent crude futures for September fell 9 cents to $82.31 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude for September declined 10 cents to $78.30 per barrel. Traders mostly ignored U.S. President Joe Biden's decision to call off his re-election bid and endorse Vice President Kamala Harris on Sunday. City analysts said they believed neither Harris nor Republican nominee Donald Trump would promote policies that would greatly affect oil and gas operations. The equities market began the first weekday of trade in positive territory as investors gained 16.54 billion naira. The all-share index advanced by 0.03% to close at 100,568.60 basis points. At the end of the first weekday of trade on NGX Capital Market, a total of 335 million shares in 8,760 deals, corresponding to a market value of 3.7 billion naira were traded. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 57 trillion naira. In the aggregate, 120 NGX listed equities participated in trading, ending with 22 gainers and 16 losers. Comoros and Timor-Leste have handed over to WTO Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala the acceptance of the WTO protocols of accession, setting both countries on course to formally become the 165th and 166th members of the WTO in last August. Comoros also handed over to the Director General their respective instruments of acceptance of the agreement on fisheries subsidies. WTO members officially approved the WTO accessions of both least developed countries during a special ceremony at the 13th Ministerial Conference in Abu Dhabi on 26th February.
Especially for Madame Ngozi, today is a historical day for us and also for WTO.
Today was an occasion of great joy for us, and we're just so happy that they've been able to do everything quick on time. It's not been easy.
En s'acquittant de tous les engagements pris y afférents. Ce faisant, l'Union des Comores vient de franchir une étape capitale dans la voie d'une plus grande insertion dans le système économique et commercial mondial. Vive la solidarité et la coopération internationale. Je vous remercie.
The Ministers of Budget and Economic Planning, Agriculture and Food Security, Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Youth Development and Speaker, House of Representatives have agreed that pathway to food sufficiency and economic growth is a collaborative one that requires not only support of African Development Bank, but also development partners. On its part, AFDB asked Nigerian government to urgently take bold actions towards sufficiency. Benny Adams reports that this was at the second interactive session for youth and women in agriculture with the theme Building Capacity of Youth and Women in Agriculture to Develop Bankable Business Plans.
Stakeholders across Nigeria's agri-value chain say they are committed to creating a conducive ecosystem for youth and women's enterprise and to address the knowledge gaps that prevent them from accessing finance and developing bankable business plans.
Together, we have launched an initiative called the Renewed Hope Agricultural Empowerment Project for internally displaced persons. This innovative program aims to empower over 10,000 internally displaced individuals over the next 3 years.
There are over 40 million agricultural households, meaning that close to 170 million of Nigeria's population is in agriculture.
We are currently training 3 million technical talents to ensure that Nigeria has the technology workforce to help us power the application of technology in sectors like agriculture.
We are dedicated to establishing a robust legislative framework that supports agricultural banks or financial institutions, enabling them to provide low-interest loans.
The Ministry of Youth Development has developed crucial initiatives that provide the support and resources for youth and women and young women to overcome these challenges and contribute significantly to the agricultural sector.
For the African Development Bank, financing initiatives that will ensure Nigeria fits Africa and Africa in turn fits the world is a worthy venture.
The question, therefore, is not whether Africa can feed itself, it is rather how quickly can we make it happen. And this is why we launch transformative initiatives like our $25 billion Technologies for African Agriculture Transformation, TAT program, to revolutionize African agriculture.
Our cumulative financing approvals have reached almost $11 billion, and our portfolio currently stands at $4.9 billion, supporting 43 projects in the public and private sectors.
The initiative's partners are the International Institute for Tropical Agriculture, Innovative Youth in Agriculture, the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, and the Nigeria Agricultural Insurance Commission. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
The program continues after this short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Senate has inaugurated an ad hoc committee to investigate alleged acts of economic sabotage in the petroleum sector. Chaired by Senate Leader Opeyemi Bamidele, the committee seeks to identify and hold accountable those responsible for the criminal acts. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports on these and other engagements.
The inauguration of the committee, President of the Senate Godswill Akpabio notes the importance of the petroleum industry to the economy, but that allegations like pipeline vandalism, oil theft, illegal bunkering, among other activities, are depriving Nigeria the funds needed for development and growth.
They have undermined the investor confidence, distorted market operations, and exacerbated our economic challenges. It is not just a financial issue. It is a matter of national security and national sovereignty.
This committee would approach its work with professionalism, integrity, balance, commitment, and impartiality.
The ad hoc committee will collaborate with agencies, industry experts, and stakeholders to uncover these saboteurs and propose sustainable solutions. In another development, the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, has appeared before the Committee on Finance as the Senate amends the Finance Act 2024. This is to ensure judicious use of the revenue window arising from windfall tax imposed on banks.
All manufacturing entities in Nigeria, they declare total of 1.7 trillion losses. Fortunately for us, all these losses, it is what you have as gain in the bank and what they have done nothing about. So it's not about we are going after the profit, it's that we are recovering the losses that we have from other side of the economy.
CBN provided the forex for it to be sold, all right, and returns made. And so whatever has accrued from that money is there at the CBN.
Based on profits that resulted from more or less being in the right place at the right time, and all over the world, it's common that the society takes a share of such quote-unquote unearned income.
Meanwhile, stakeholders at a public hearing by the Senate Committee on Labor and Employment have expressed support on the bill that seeks inclusion of domestic servants in the national minimum wage.
The majority of the workers under this particular segment are in the informal sector. And then beyond that, they are mostly women. So therefore, they are vulnerable. Most of us are aware of nasty things that have happened, even either to the domestic worker or the employer of the domestic service.
We recommend that the bill provides for mechanisms and measures to assure the rehabilitation and reintegration of the affected underage, unpaid and abused domestic workers into appropriate educational care or vocational programs.
The bill also makes provision for the registration of domestic servants to protect both workers and employers. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And now to our discussion. The Central Bank of Nigeria's 296th Monetary Policy Committee meeting will be discussing measures to combat the country's escalating inflation and economic hardship. The meeting scheduled today will be the fourth under the leadership of CBN Governor Olayemi Kadoso, who was appointed in September 2023. And to discuss some of these issues to be expected at the meeting is Chris Kaka. He is a National Program Coordinator, Trade Network Initiative. He joins us via conversation. Hello, Mr. Kaka.
Good morning, listeners. Thank you for having me yesterday.
Okay. With inflation rates remaining high at 34.19%, what are the likely steps the committee is considering to bring inflation under control?
Okay, thank you very much. I think, like you rightly observed, the Central Bank will be having their meeting today, and one will expect that with the continued tightening of the policy, most of the indices remaining the same, liquidity remaining 30%, cash reserve ratio maintained since the beginning of the year, except for the monetary policy rate, which moved 200% the last quarter, and then 150% as at the last meeting that was held in May. One will be expecting them not to do anything different, perhaps continue in the same direction. I see them still increasing the MPL, maybe this time not by 150, perhaps 100 basis points this time, maybe moving from the 26.25 it is by just about a little bit 100, maybe 27.25. But interest rate will definitely have to go up. That's one is certain. Unfortunately, that is not really it has not really helped much to check the trends of the happening that has been going on. It has not helped to check effectively the rising inflation and the question before the central bank would then be, what else do we do? So for me, what I think they would do differently is to perhaps have some staggered rates for the productive sector and for those who are also consuming, in order to be able to continue to encourage production and not hamper economic development as well.
Okay, already manufacturers and businesses are complaining about the high interest rate. How can the committee balance the need to control inflation with potential growth and employment?
Excellent. I think that question is a beautiful one because, unfortunately, the measures the central bank deploy to actually address inflation are always counterproductive to economic development, because once you increase the interest rate, cost of borrowing become high, and it also hampers productivity. But what it has done over time, we checked the March Monetary Policy Committee communique. What it then said was like, look, they created a staggered rate for the productive deposit money banks who lend for short term and for the merchant banks who are also lending for very long-term purposes. We're expecting them to do the same in this case, have two different rates for those who are consuming, those who are lending for short-term purposes, and those who are lending for productive for production themselves. That's where you find that the capacity to produce of the productive sector will continue. The high interest rate will not hamper them from borrowing money. And that's what I see the central bank doing at the moment. Obviously, they have been trying so much in injecting some palliatives into the economy, but I don't know how well that, if they can still do that, I think it would be a beautiful idea to look for critical sectors of the economy that can help us attract foreign investments, provide some incentive for them to be able to continue to produce even in the face of rising inflation and effort by the CBN to actually address. So that's what I expect them to do at the end of this meeting they are going to be having.
Okay. The president had signed several executive orders to suspend import duties on staple food items and pharmaceuticals, as well as allow the importation of 250,000 metric tons of maize and wheat. Do you see these?
Hello?
Can you hear me, sir?
Hello?
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 Hello, Mr. Chris. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Chris.
Oh, dear.
Okay. It appears network is disturbing. Well, moving on.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Chris. Can you hear me? I can hear you clearly. I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I lost you at the moment.
Oh, great. All right.
I can hear you now.
Oh, nice. Now, the
I lost you again.
Can you hear me now?
Hello?
The president, can you hear me?
Hello?
Okay, if you can hear me, the president had signed several executive orders to suspend import duties on staple food items and pharmaceuticals, as well as allow the importation of 250 metric tons of maize and wheat. If you can hear me, do you see this decelerating inflation in the short term?
Hello?
All right. It appears the network is disturbing. We'll reconnect with him when the network improves. Moving on, a Minister of State Petroleum Resources held a high-level meeting with key stakeholders to address and resolve ongoing issues surrounding Dangote Refinery. A statement by Nneka Okafor, Special Advisor Media and Communication to the minister, disclosed that attendees at meeting include Aliko Dangote, Chairman and CEO of Dangote Group, Farouk Ahmed, Authority Chief Executive of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Gbenga Komolafe, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Mele Kyari, Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, Stakeholders expressed gratitude to the minister for his exemplary leadership and timely intervention in facilitating the dialogue. The meeting focuses on finding sustainable and lasting solution to the current impasse affecting the Dangote refinery, with all parties demonstrating a commitment to collaborative and proactive problem solving. The minister emphasized the importance of cooperation and synergy among all stakeholders to ensure the success and optimal performance of the oil and gas sector, which is pivotal for Nigeria's economic growth and energy security. This is where we end this edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. Business Express returns on Wednesday at 3 p.m. I am Nneka.